So there's a couple different ways to do whitewash on your 15mm armor. I already showed you the hairspray method a couple times recently in the heavy Panzer build, and this is another method I wanted to try for these little guys. What we have here, I have my two Sherman jumbo tanks. They've been painted pretty much just like you've seen in the Sherman, the Painting Sherman article from a while back. So they've been painted with acrylic paints. They have future over them, and so this is acrylic with an acrylic coating over it, and then on top of that I sprayed some enamel white paint, as you can see here. And what we're going to do now is remove the paint. The important thing here is that we're using two different mediums. We got acrylic base with enamel over that. That's very important because the enamel thinner that we're going to be using here will not eat through the acrylic paint. So it's only going to remove the white, not the green underneath that. So that's very important. So what we need is obviously the tanks coated with the enamel whites. I did it fairly lightly since I'm doing all my tanks a different color in my Flames of War army. Not very realistic, but I don't want to get bored painting with them. So I did it fairly light, so it's going to be more green than white. Of course, you can do it heavier if you want. You're going to need a small amount of enamel thinner, a towel of some sort. Well, it's off screen, but trust me, there's a paper towel there. And you need a variety of brushes, some horrible ones, not good quality brushes. You don't want to use your good stuff for this. I have also a little makeup sponge. You can use a Q-tip if you like. I prefer this since it doesn't leave a lint behind. So now we're going to remove the white paint. How much to remove? It's totally up to you. As I said, I'm going to remove quite a bit. So just start with one of your brushes, and as you start working around, you'll see how much you want to remove where and whatnot. The whitewash used on tanks in World War II, it was made to come off. It was supposed to come off with just water and a scrub brush, but rain and weathering made it come off pretty fast. So a lot of it, if you take a lot off, that's actually being very realistic. So that's what I'm going to do here. So we dip a brush in the enamel thinner and dry it out on the paper towel. You do not want your brush dripping. And just slowly start going to town. And how much to remove is totally up to you. I'm just starting off here, removing a little bit. Try to keep the idea of weathering in mind, so rain streaks from up and down. And by using different brushes, you get a bit more variety in the effect. And then we can also go back with do the same process with the makeup sponge and remove more. Make sure you're drying off your brush or sponge every time, because you don't want streaks. And of course, the longer and the more thinner you use, the longer that the thinner stays on, the more it's going to take off. So just keep that in mind if you go over an area more than once if it's already wet. Your brush dries out pretty fast, so keep that in mind. And you always want to be going back and cleaning it out by dipping it in more thinner. So the wash would most likely come off the large areas on top first, and it'd be more contained in the recesses and edges of the tank. So we'd try to work on those areas, and then work your way down from there. Alright, I'm just gonna speed the camera up a bit now and give you an idea of the whole process here on this one tank. So I had a bit of a rethink here. Initially I was going to take off like almost all the whitewash because none of my other tanks are whitewashed and I kind of want them to slightly match. However, after taking off all the whitewash, had a change of thought. If I'm going to whitewash the tanks, then I'm going to whitewash them. I'm not going to make them just little hints of white on them. So I went back and I sprayed white over them again and removed a lot less of the whitewash this time. This was the one this one that's now the least whitewashed was the one that I didn't spray over again. This was the one that was going to be the most whitewashed previously, and then it's now the least whitewashed. Blah. So after that, went back and touched up some of the details. The tracks needed some repainting because there was still some white on those, and painted all the other accoutrements on the tank. And now it's the weathering stage. Now, I normally use the MIG wash for my tanks. However, I can't use an enamel wash over enamel paint because when I remove the wash, it's just going to remove the paint. So I was starting to use some acrylic inks, obviously not violet, but a different color somewhere, sepia. I think that's what I was using before. But then I decided that it wasn't going to match my tanks too well, the other colors, and so I actually went back with the airbrush again. And sprayed them once again with Future Pledge with Future Shine, Future Floor Wax. And so now I got an acrylic coating over my enamel, so now I could use my MIG paints. And I did try using the brown, the same I use on my green tanks, however, did not work too well over the white. I just did some experimenting a few minutes ago. But I have this earth wash, excuse me, getting a bit of a cold. Got this earth wash color, which is going to work a lot better. So at this point, basically, it's just like before. Lather it all over the tank, let it dry a bit, and then rub it off with a Q-tip or a makeup sponge. And I'm going to leave some more on the sides than normal. And provided that I put on a good coat of Future, it will not remove any of the white. But I do expect some of it to disappear due to my my carelessness, probably missing a few spots, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm going to coat this, let it dry, wipe it off, and then give another dark wash around the treads, and then we'll go to the last step. So we're just about done here. It's all dull coated, and since the Future is so glossy, I actually used some Vallejo matte varnish, which actually works a little bit better than Tester's dull coat, my main staple. But the stuff through an airbrush will kill the sheen off of anything. Last thing to do is I want to add a whole bunch of muck and grime to the wheel wells, and I have a lovely mixture here. This is spackle, sand, paint, burnt umber paint, and what am I forgetting? Oh, Future Floor, Pledge with Future Shine, Future Floor Wax for some muddy sheen to it. And we're just gonna apply liberally. Into the wheel wells here. Of course, the amount of thickness is up to you. Stuff is sticky. And yeah, this is the last step here. Just going to thin this out a little bit. A little too thick, actually. And once this dries, we're done. Okay, here we are. They're all done. Didn't quite add enough Future to the dirt mixture, so I just dabbed on a bit more after it dried. And yeah, so that's it. 3 whitewash Shermans. The earth wash actually works pretty good because it's a lot lighter than the brown wash, and so I didn't have to rub as much off, which is good because I didn't have to worry about removing the whitewash itself. And it also, something to keep in mind, which is something I've learned and forgot when I did the heavy Panzer build, is when you put the wash over the whitewash, it does darken it a bit. So keep that in mind. These were pretty white when I first started, and just putting that wash on twice definitely darkened it, and darkened a lot more than I was expecting, and really brought out the green underneath too. So yeah, that's it. 3 whitewashed Sherman Jimbos ready to go. Thanks for watching.